Greetings and happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to one and to all. Perhaps it is Wednesday, depending upon where you are on the globe. Give yourselves a round of applause for making it to and through another day. As we know, each day is a blessing, so please be mindful of that and be giving thanks for the little things. So this is going to be a quick break for those of you that enjoy news stories and need to be aware of what's going on in and around the United States and abroad. This story here is very serious and has not been getting, in my opinion, the amount of airtime it truly deserves. And again, I have said to many people, those that have tuned in, when this DC takeover first came to fruition back in August, that things were not quite as some of you have been led to believe, that some of you continue to believe. Now, has crime stats gone down? Absolutely. Is there still an element of crime? Absolutely. Is the National Guard still here in Washington, D.C.? Absolutely. This story, again, very disturbing, and I did a story not too long ago. I'm going to have to take time out to research because there have been a couple of incidents, again, that's gone under the radar, and I'm not quite sure as to why, but there may be a connection. So without further delay, again, thank you all for engaging and just your presence alone. Again, I do not censor. I just wish that those who leave comments, or at least when there's a stream or a pre-record, that you are respectful. So let us travel again to Washington, D.C., which has been a hot spot for many things. Now, as you can see, there's a photo in front of you, and that photo is outside of the St. Matthew Cathedral. The importance of this is because a man from South Jersey was arrested on Sunday for allegedly, and I must say allegedly, to be prudent and responsible, for possessing, I want you to pay attention now, possible explosives. Police, again, police state that over 200 devices were found inside of the tent, again, erected outside of the cathedral. Now, the importance of this whole story is this marked, again, pay attention, the annual Red Mass service. And for those of you who do not know or have never heard of the Red Mass service, that is a service where many dignitaries come, and it marks the opening of the Supreme Court's annual term. I'm going to repeat that because I want you to earmark what I just said. The Red Mass marks the opening of the Supreme Court's annual term. Here's another photo of the tent. And again, according to police, what they say was found. They claim there were vials of liquid and explosive found inside of this tent. Again, as I mentioned, over 200. The individual has been identified as a man from South Jersey, 41-year-old Louis Geri of Vineland, New Jersey. And again, he has been identified as the man who erected a tent, as you can see right here, on the steps of St. Matthew Cathedral just hours before the again, annual Red Mass service. Louis Geri is due in court Thursday on numerous charges, including possession of a destructive device. Geri has also been charged with unlawful entry, threats to injure, and possession of a Molotov cocktail. I cannot stress to you how dangerous and a catastrophe that this could have been. So here's a little slide for you that states, again, what I just mentioned. 41-year-old Louis Geri of Vineland, New Jersey, is preliminarily charged with unlawful entry, threats to kidnap or injure a person, and possession of a Molotov cocktail. The investigation is ongoing in coordination with members of the JTTF, or the Joint Terrorism Task Force, the FBI, or Federal Bureau of Investigation's Washington Field Office, and the ATF, which is the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. While there is no known threat to the District of Columbia, now I'm going to pause because my past experience in intel, I'm going to differ in that. And I have my reasons. But again, if this is what MPD is saying, hey, that's what MPD is saying. But anytime someone can get that close to the steps of a cathedral, and this is on Rhode Island Avenue, and the very fact that those that tend to plan and plot harm normally, again, those with an intel background, or those that just think and study and look at trends, most things usually happen on anniversaries or when there is a special event to occur. It's not rocket science. I mean, if you have paid attention to everything that has been going on, I'm not surprised. I am absolutely not surprised. And as I said, I did a story not too long ago where a 72-year-old man, he just got himself arrested for publishing a manifesto as to how to red rum a judge. So the similarities to me are very close, very close. And again, this gentleman, Louis Geri of Vineland, New Jersey, again, how he was able to do this and finally caught or caught just in the nick of time. Again, I'm not sinister, but I have a lot of questions. Thankfully, they were able to catch him, but the mere fact he was able to post up, because that's exactly what he did. And he was caught around 6 a.m. allegedly. It just leaves a field full of questions. Again, they're saying, well, there is no known threat, and that's the operative word, known. Just because there isn't anything known doesn't mean there isn't, and I want you all to be clear on that. The MPD continues to encourage the public to remain vigilant. Again, that is key. Sometimes the devil is in the details, and you must read and extrapolate what it is you are reading. If you're encouraging the public to remain vigilant, to me, that's just, it's a warning without being warned, if you understand what it is I'm saying. And they cap it off with, if you see something, say something. Report immediate threats or emergencies by calling 911. And you can also report suspicious activity by calling 202-727-9099 or texting 50411 or by visiting iwatchdc.org. Obviously, someone is watching DC. So let us go to this next quick slide. During the arrest, officers observed multiple suspicious items. Now, as I said at the top of the broadcast, there were over 200, again, according to reports, 200 items found. This slide right here says vials of liquid, possible fireworks inside of the tent. Members of the MPD, which is the Metropolitan Police Department, Explosive Ordnance Disposal, EOD team, and the Arson Task Force responded to the scene to search the suspect's belongings. The scene has been secured and there is no threat to public safety. The front entrance of the Cathedral and the 1700 block of Rhode Island Avenue remained closed as the scene was processed. Again, this happened on Sunday. Today is Tuesday. How many people have heard about this? I'm sure there have been some, but it's not getting the airplay it should, because again, this marks the annual term of the Supreme Court. Red Mass. Again, keep that in mind. Red Mass. And here's another report. Again, earmark this and just pay attention. Use your critical thinking skills, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Due to security concerns, no Supreme Court justices, I repeat, no Supreme Court justices attended this year's Red Mass October 5th at the Cathedral of St. Matthew the Apostle in Washington. This is the annual Mass that prays for jurists and public officials the day before the start of the Supreme Court's term. Keep in mind, we are under a government shutdown. Okay? And there are other things going on in Washington, D.C. There have been indictments for those of you that have been paying attention. A lot of pushback. We just have a lot of things going on. There are a lot of moving parts, but if you pay close attention to everything that's going on, and again, the timelines. We have a holiday coming up, October the 13th. Earmark that, okay? Earmark October the 13th. The Metropolitan Police Department of Washington reported that they had arrested a New Jersey man who had set up a tent on the steps of the cathedral and that they had charged him with possession of explosives. Now, first of all, when this DC takeover took place, and again, you all can believe what you want to believe, but a lot of that, again, I'm here, a lot of it, not all, a lot of it was just show. A lot of it was show. You saw people getting rid of homeless encampments. So what happened to that mission? Because how in the world, and again, if you know anything about DC, if you know about cathedrals, if you know about patrols, how is it that someone was able to erect a tent and have all of those materials and it was caught just in the nick of time? You mean to tell me, and I'm going to go down there when I get off work. There were no cameras, there were no patrols, no neighbors, nobody on the streets that thought that was odd, that thought that was bizarre. Again, pay attention, pay attention. Stop having people and certain mainstream media gaslight you or not have you in the know of things like this that are going on. The mass was delayed for about 20 minutes, and hundreds of people waited outside before they were allowed to enter the cathedral through a side entrance. At the mass, Washington Cardinal Robert McElroy emphasized that the men and women of the law are architects of hope by reason of their vocation. That hope, he said, is especially needed as the nation faces eroding faith in institutions, a collapse of political dialogue, a growth in political violence, and ongoing needs of the poor and powerless. Again, the ongoing needs of the poor and powerless. McElroy was the main celebrant and homilist at the 73rd, again, I repeat, the 73rd annual Red Mass, October the 5th. Again, a little bit more background. What is the Red Mass? The purpose is the Mass is celebrated to invoke divine blessings and guidance for those involved in the administration of justice. Okay, that term right there in itself is extremely important. And there are a lot of people that emerge here in Washington, D.C. and protest, and some who support many of these executive orders that have been put in place, including judges, lawyers, and other public officials. Historical roots. The tradition began in the 13th century in Europe and has spread to the United States. The name origin. The red in Red Mass refers to the color of vestments worn by the clergy during the service. The location in the United States. A prominent red mass is held annually at the Cathedral of St. Matthew the Apostle in Washington, D.C. And the attendees, again, please, please, please pay attention to this. The attendees historically are Supreme Court justices, presidents, members of Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we have a significant event going on right now, and that is the government shutdown, which we are in now, day 7. Again, keep all of those things in mind. And cabinet members have attended this particular mass. So it would shock me if the suspect from Vineland, New Jersey, had no idea what they were doing and who they were targeting. Again, that's my opinion. It's just my opinion. Here is a statement from the Metropolitan Police Department. Sunday, October the 5th, shortly before 6 o'clock a.m. on Sunday, October the 5th, 2025, Metropolitan Police Department members assigned to a detail, so they were already in place for the Red Mass at St. Matthew's Cathedral, engaged an individual who set up a tent on the steps of the cathedral. Again, this is just mighty odd to me. Officers determined that the individual was previously barred. Again, that is key. They must have ran an NCIC. The officers determined that the individual was previously barred from the premises of the cathedral. 41 years old, from Vineland or Vineland, New Jersey. Jersey is not that far from DC, depending upon where that is, 3-4 hour drive, perhaps. And again, was he staying here? I don't know all of the particulars, but it's not that far away. And again, it states right here, he was previously barred. The individual refused to vacate the premises and was placed under arrest without incident. This is me with my thinking cap on. MPD said they first engaged with Geri before arresting him, shortly before 6 o'clock a.m. on Sunday. The Red Mass has commemorated the start of the Supreme Court's term for 73 years. The event started at 9 o'clock a.m. and the doors opened up at 7:45 a.m. A native of Vineland, New Jersey, Geri, had apparently been banned from the Northwest DC Cathedral before his arrest on Sunday. MPD did not explain why he had been banned in the past. That, to me, signals many red flags. Again, is this just remaining with MPD? I would think with the JTTF and ATF, it's actually spread over to the federales. Are they going to speak about it? Has there been a press conference on this? I haven't heard it. Now, perhaps there was. I'm not going to say that there was not, but it's just odd to me that, and again, no slight to anyone, that there have been countless videos on the Diddy trial and other entertainers. And again, I understand all of that, but this is a threat. This is serious because, again, as I mentioned, there was just a story I did, and I'm going to have to pull some things together, where a 72-year-old who he was a mayoral candidate and was just arrested not too long ago. Again, for this manifesto, a 263-page manifesto entitled How to Red Rum a Judge. So again, and the statement that the public should remain vigilant even though there's no known threat. Again, no known threat does not mean there is not one. And I'm not saying that there is, I'm just saying there are too many things that are going on. The resources as far as law enforcement, they're already thin, and still there are some officers that, again, I've spoken to, and others that really didn't appreciate the premise behind this takeover. And again, I ask you, are things really that safe in DC? Why isn't mainstream media talking about this? Now, there's a few stories on there, but they're short clips. They're no long live streams about this. And again, not one justice of the Supreme Court attended, even though it was cleared and others went in. This has been a 73-year tradition. To me, that speaks volumes. So again, I'm going to put this picture up so you could see the tent right there on the steps of the cathedral, and let you just think about it for a moment. Think about it. Thank you to those first responders, those members of law enforcement who could have indeed prevented a catastrophic event in Washington, D.C. Thank you to those who have tuned in. And again, I'll put this up here. So you of exactly what has happened on Sunday, October the 5th.